everybody. Welcome back to another Squirrel Cast. I decided, I listened to a little bit of the last episode and realized how close I was holding the mic to my face. So today I'm going to try slightly distant, more distant. Hopefully the volume's still good. So hopefully you're still able to hear my voice. Lovely Saturday morning today. I'd like to thank you all for joining me, whatever the day may be. As you can see from the blinding light behind me, it is a crisp, cool, yet sunny day outside, which means the weather is absolutely terrible. I think we're going to have to do an episode talking about fall, the autumn. It's a goddamn fad season. Anyways, I'd like to start today, excuse me while I have a little sippy poo. By saying thank you to a couple people. First of all, to anybody that's commented on the video so far, thank you very much. I'm still waiting for the real hate mail to begin, because I expect this thing to go viral in all the wrong ways. I'd like to give a shout out to my buddy Glausamar for helping me with some of the back end work in terms of IT. And we're going to kick things off today with a topic suggested by the illustrious Jen Eldridge, who heard our previous discussion on grocery stores and decided that one of the banes of her existence, and I think for many, and I've heard other people, comedians, pundits, all talk about airports. It's a fair topic, and it should be a fair topic. It should be kind of an open season, uncopyrighted topic for general disdain and disgruntledness, because airports are awful. And it depends on the airport. You get all qualities of airport. I may not travel much. Personally, my opinion is that air travel is way too expensive for what you get. Hotels are overpriced. And I'm generally less comfortable in a place that I'm going to than where I am at home. I understand that travel is necessary. There are some places in the world I'd like to see. But I don't think in my life that I'm going to be one of those people that has to be a digital nomad or, kind of like, 3 months of the year I have to be away from my house. That's just not going to be me. That's just, I think that a lot of people who have this, I have to travel the world and constantly move are just running away from problems. I think that's a large factor. I think that not dealing with life by running away from it is a problem in the world, and I think a lot of people do that. They certainly travel to get away from what they have to deal with and from their responsibilities and from life. The further they can put that off, the better it is, and of course, the worse it comes crashing home, the longer they wait. God, that's good stuff. But airports. I've been in all sorts of airports, European, South American, Central American. I don't remember, but I've been to Asian airports. When I was very small, North American. So probably not as many as some of you, probably more than some of you, but so I'd say I'm probably middle of the road in my airport experience. I remember traveling before airport travel changed, and let's put that to rest on when it changed. It changed after 9/11, okay? That's when airline and air travel changed completely. It wasn't going in the right direction before that. It was already starting to slip in terms of quality. I remember, and maybe this was me putting window dressing on a bad memory, but I seem to remember that traveling 30 years ago was much more of an experience. Going to the airport was an event, but not a horribly stressful one. Going through security was a task, but it wasn't something that you had a large risk of missing your flight as a result. You could go to restaurants. Getting on a plane, you felt like a somebody. Flight attendants used to treat you like somebody special. Somebody that was flying was a special person, a customer. You didn't have to ask for an extra bag of peanuts. You didn't, or pay for it, I should say. You were offered a drink when you wanted one. Meals were always pretty much included. But all that changed. And goddamn the airlines, because I think, and this is just my opinion, but I really think they took 9/11. They had a real problem at that point. They addressed the problem, but then they took advantage of it, like most companies do. They take a tragedy and they turn it into a profit. So, but let's start with the airports. You walk into an airport nowadays, and the first thing you have to do is, let's not even get to the airport. Let's be on the way to the airport. So a lot of people, like myself, will tend to take a taxi to the airport because we don't want to park our cars at the airport, because parking a car at the airport is almost as expensive as having a second hotel room. Like, it's stupid. So, and God knows what's going to happen to your car in that parking lot, right? So, of course, the airport, just like everything, it waives all responsibility for any sort of event that could happen on its premises. So I'll take a cab to the airport. Cost a bunch of money to take the cab. That's okay. You get to the airport. Airports are usually on the fringe of town. That's okay. Off of a highway, in my experience, that's okay. But once you walk in, you've got your bags. You've done your list. You've checked it twice. The first thing you have to do is figure out, are you going to get your boarding pass from a person at the ticket counter or from one of the little kiosks? Now, I've done both. I find the kiosk is okay. But already it's a series of lines. And we all know that once you're in that damn line and you have to go get your luggage weighed, there is going to be some boob at the front of the line that didn't quite understand the assignment. It's like the self-checkout at the grocery store. It's just some moron sitting there looking at the scale that says that it's 6 pounds overweight and arguing that it can't possibly be overweight. Like, as if the person at the counter has some sort of vested interest in screwing this passenger over. My general policy has always been super polite. If for some reason my bag is a pound or two overweight, just pay the damn fee. Don't argue about it. Just pay. That's it. If you're traveling on such a shoestring budget that an extra $50 is suddenly going to put you in the hole such that you can't, pay your rent next month, don't go on vacation. Don't go to the airport. Buy a tent, rent a car, and go out in the country and sit in a tent for a few days. That's what you should do. Not this crap of, I can't possibly afford this, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. So there's the bags at the counter. You'll have people that don't understand the assignment. They bring an extra bag or the bag's overweight. Fine. Then you have the person that's just completely disorganized. This I love. General dad policy is you get in that line, passports in hand, documentation in hand. You know, I have a kid and I'm a single father, so often I have extra documentation in terms of, you know, authorization to travel, all this stuff. Everything is ready to rock, in order. If you're sitting there at the front of the line, fumbling around, not understanding where you put your passport, get it. You should be removed right to the back. I don't care if you missed your plane. Right back to the back. You don't deserve to be getting like a boarding pass right now. You're not ready. You're not ready. I don't care if you have 3 screaming kids. You're not ready. So finally you get to the front, you get your boarding pass, if you have checked baggage, it goes onto the little conveyor belt where you know it's going to get thrown around by 6 semi-stoned teenagers underneath at the back of the airport there. Or poor overworked guys that, you know, generally just aren't paid enough and are told to like handle all these bags and get treated like crap by the airport. Then you get to step 2. Security. Now, this used to be not as terrible. Then a couple of assholes with box cutters ruined everybody's day. And now we have to strip down pretty much almost to our underwear. I mean, really? Instead of asking people to change, you should almost be told, if you're going to board a plane, wear jogging pants. Wear running shoes. If you have your laptop and you have to work, blah, 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 you know, laptop in bag, put here, power off. I mean, they do tell you to power off everything. But it's like you get to the front of the line and then you have the one guy that's just, how many times does it take to go through security to realize he had, 46 cents in his pocket? And that's what's causing it to, like, trip the sensor. And you're dealing with, agents that I don't feel secure. When I see these agents doing the metal detector sweeps. These people don't care. And I know that since COVID kind of not ended, but let's say has been going down again, people have started traveling again. And I know that the travel industry in particular and airports, laid off a lot of staff, and they haven't been able to bring back the staff that they had before. So the lineups, I had a friend recently that said that he got to his flight as a responsible person 3 hours before the time of the flight, which is normally when you should get to a flight, especially international. And he almost missed his plane because of the security line. Like, that's not acceptable. How... Like, if somebody is having trouble with the security line, again, kick them to the back. There's got to be a better way to do security. There's got to be a cleaner methodology. I mean, I saw there was one where it's like a whole circular sensor thing, and I know that airports are constantly trying to save money, but quite frankly, I don't know. I feel like the airline industry has always been a bit of a cash cow that claims to be poverty stricken, And the final thing I'll talk about is you get through security. So you've waited the 2 hours in the line, you get through security, and now you're in the little shopping area. That's nice. You can do the duty free. And you're waiting at the gate. And you have some dude that's passed out on his luggage, kids running around. My dad told me a story once of waiting at a gate and looking out the window and seeing the engine of the plane he was supposed to be boarding disassembled on the tarmac. Wasn't in North America. and asking if that was a plane he was supposed to board, and the agent say, the one of the workers saying, yeah, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. Yeah, engine's literally on the tarmac. But you wait at the gate for an interminable amount of time, and it's always more time than the time you can keep yourself occupied for. Somehow, it's always about 30 to 40 minutes longer than the amount of time you can keep yourself occupied without going stark raving mad. And God help you if you have kids, because they are going to go ballistic. I mean, it's best to feed them something with very little sugar and a lot of MSG and just have them pass out. But then you have to deal with them on the plane. Dealing with kids on planes, I mean, and airports, that's a whole different challenge. But then it comes to boarding, and you have the list of first-class passengers. Listen, first-class passengers, I get it. They paid more. They should get on first. Business class, they paid more. They should get on first. Disabled people, they have problems boarding. They should get on first. But then you have all these other assholes that somehow get priority. And it's like, what? You and me paid the same amount for our tickets. Why do you get priority? No, we should get on in an orderly fashion. Back of the boat loads first, then to the front, you know? And you get to the final point where you have a boarding pass and they say, I'm sorry, you can't board. And it's like, why? Well, we overbooked this flight. Now that airlines should be penalized millions of dollars. If there's a flight where there are people overbooked, and listen, I've heard the people explain why this happens, you know, that they're always wanting to fly with a full bus, the fuel management, the fuel measurements. I don't care. You had 200 tickets to sell, you sold 200. You don't sell 250. There are 200 seats, not 250. You don't get to decide that you're going to double book a seat. It's in no other industry would that be considered acceptable practice. And I think airlines should be heavily punished for that kind of behavior. Heavily punished. And I mean millions of dollars of fine per occurrence. Because it's the only way they'll understand not to do it, right? If you give them a $10,000 fine, they'll say, well, we made more than $10,000 selling the extra tickets, so screw that. Like, we're just going to keep doing it because the fine doesn't outweigh the profit. And then you board the plane, and, you know, we've heard a million people talk about it. You get that seat, you think you're going to be okay, and then somebody who's, 150 pounds overweight gets on the plane and then wedges into the seat beside you and kind of envelops you to a certain degree in their girth as they try to fit in an economy seat. I've said this for years. I'm sorry if it's not nice. Fat people need to buy 2 tickets. If you're too big to fit in the seat, you need to buy 2 tickets. There's a physics element to this in that you have to be able to balance the plane. There's an etiquette element to this in that the person beside you does not want to share half the seat that they paid for with you because you're too fat for the seat that you bought. There are olfactory aspects to this because you will sweat on the plane. Nobody gets off a plane feeling fresh. And if you've sat beside somebody whose literally body humidity has been the only thing entering your nostrils and possibly your eyes for 5 to 6 hours, you're not going to be pleased with the experience. So, like, I get it. I'm going to get some hate on this, but if you can't fit in the seat that you bought, you need to buy an extra seat. Yes, traveling for you will be doubly expensive. Yep. 100%. Is it fair? Well, yes, it is. You're that size. Should the airlines make the seats a bit bigger? There you might have an argument. There you might have to say, economy. But, it's a slippery slope. The world is getting fatter. How fat should we let it get? Maybe the airlines have it right by keeping the seats slim. I'm not big, so, like, by any sense, I'm not tall. I'm not particularly, huge in any sense of the word. But, and I'll always fit in an economy seat without struggle. Now, I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to go out and, like, sprain my leg and have a year of, or break my hip and have 2 years of recovery, put on 100 pounds, and then be that guy that can't fit in an economy seat. My prayer is that if I do get to that point, I'll have the common courtesy to buy 2 plane tickets. And then, of course, it's the classic, where have things fallen off in terms of flying? The food, the service, nothing is the way it used to be. What happened to the Pan Am glory days? Where you felt like a real special person when you boarded a flight. Now you feel like cattle. Some of you look like cattle, but everybody feels like cattle. It's just, I don't know, like, I go on vacation and it feels like the first thing I have to do is deal with stress just to get to my destination. Personally, I prefer driving. Personally, I've always loved driving. So doing a road trip is not scandalous to me. There are obviously limits because you don't want to spend 2 weeks driving to get to your destination. So flying is the most convenient way, and often there are bodies of water in the way. So flying is sometimes the only or most convenient way to get to your destination. But God, could they do some work on making it more pleasant than it is? Because I feel like the airport is a point of conflict at the beginning of a vacation and at the end of a vacation. And I'll tell you, I've had experiences in airports. So being at super busy airports like Heathrow or De Gaulle or O'Hare is stressful in and of itself. I remember being on a flight in the United States that got grounded because of a drunk guy passing out on a plane, and we had to land mid-flight because, of course, they're not going to take the risk. They know he's drunk, but they're not going to take the risk that he isn't having a cardiac event or some sort of neurological problem. So they want to make sure they don't want to get sued, so they want to land the plane, get him off the plane. But the problem is, of course, they've only filled the plane with enough fuel to do one takeoff from where we were and one landing where we're getting to. And the extra landing and takeoff required a refill of the plane at 2:30 in the morning because it's a red eye. It took an hour to find somebody at that particular airport in the middle of nowhere to even refuel the plane. And as a result, we all missed our connecting flight when we got there. Everybody's screaming. Everybody's upset. I mean, that asshole did wake up in a drunk tank 1,000 miles south of where he thought he was going to wake up, and that pleases me to no end. I've had experiences in Central America where the word line or queue or any sort of orderly fashion was not even a polite suggestion. It was a meek suggestion at best. I remember in Cuba just being super stressed out because the line to get through their customs area, and that's a whole nother discussion about arriving somewhere, is getting through customs. that's super stressful. I don't know why you walk into a country and you're made to feel like a criminal. But trying to get through customs in a communist country was interesting. Everybody just piled together. The 4 agents at the front, the 4 customs agents, don't care if you make your flight or not. They just could not care less. So they're checking people at their rhythm. I've seen similar behavior in following years at American airports, which is just downright disgraceful. But it's just something that at the beginning of the vacation, so there it is. Airports ruining vacations at the beginning and at the end. You might have a few days of pleasantry in the middle at your destination. But short of that, I mean, we're going to finish this because it's run a little long, but airports need to improve their game. That's my opinion. I realize now the mic has been getting closer and closer to my face as my ranting has ramped up and up. Airports need to improve their game. We need to improve the check-in process. We need to penalize those that aren't ready. We need to improve the security clearance process. There's got to be a faster, more efficient way of doing it. We need to improve the gate waiting experience. We need to have some semblance of common sense when ordering the boarding of a plane. And the air travel experience itself, the onboard experience, airlines do better. Do better. You're not trying. You have a monopoly and you're not trying. It's across the board needs to be an improved experience. We need to get back. And if that means that a certain percentage of people are no longer welcome to fly, so be it. So be it. Let's stop trying to live in a society where we acquiesce or we have to dumb it down to the lowest common denominator. Stop it. If we can all improve the experience by 20 to 30% because we got rid of the bottom 10% of travelers in terms of not race, not wealth, not sexual orientation, not gender, not anything like that, based purely on their ability to interact in a reasonable, calm, and intelligent fashion with the rest of society, then so be it. We'll all be happier if that guy has to stay at home. And I put to you that guy will be happier too. Man, this went a lot longer than I thought it would. Happy Saturday, everybody.